North Carolina. They are plus 2.5 against UCLA, total 141.5.
I got all the checks here. I like North Carolina. I don't want to say it that way. I want to bet against UCLA. I think North Carolina probably a little overrated. I don't think they're all that good. And they played some very good games lately, which you'd think would make them expensive. However, they're not expensive. They're catching 2.5. Why? Because they're playing a public team, UCLA, that made a Final Four appearance last year. But where are the check marks? Well, the ACC, conference versus conference. I've got an 8-2 against the spread conference against a team that belongs to that West Coast Jumanji that is 1-11 against the spread. So that check for the ACC. Health, UCLA, not good. Injuries. Johnny Juzang has not been the same. Dude's their leading scorer, has been averaging 16 per game during the regular season. Last 5 games when he should be stepping it up. He can't step it up because he's clearly not 100%. He has scored 6, 10, 16, and then in the big dance, 9 and 14. So I don't think he's 50%, but I think he's 80%, not 100. And now some might say the best player is a Joaquin.
Hawkes,
yep. Excuse me. Has 30 minutes. He's their number 2 scorer, 14 points per game. Some might say he's the most important player. And is he even going to play? Probably.
Yeah.
Is it going to be,
I would assume,
close to 100%?
No.
Yeah. So this is a game I'm sure Ken Pom probably makes UCLA more like maybe a 4-point favorite.
They do exactly that.
I don't think they're adjusting for these injuries because and I don't think they're adjusting enough for the venue, which is very pro North Carolina because it's all the way back in Philadelphia on the East Coast. Carolina wins this game. I like Carolina.
I'm going to make North Carolina plus 2.5 my best bet. I think this is what we've seen is 2 dominant showings in a row from North Carolina. And you would say dominant. They went to overtime against Baylor. They dominated Baylor. And a series of events happened in that game that let Baylor get back into things. First, Brady Manek gets ejected. If you can argue that it should have happened, shouldn't have happened, I don't know.
And he was having a great game.
Dominating. And from the moment he goes out, it's a different game. And Baylor played, they were getting away with it's like the refs were saying, well, if they do it on every play, it can't be a foul. No, there were a lot of fouls happening here. And ironically, Caleb Love, the ball handler for North Carolina, he fouled out of the game. And North Carolina, where they're not a deep team, period, but they particularly don't have a lot of ball handlers.
And Baylor figured it out. It was like one of those Squid Game episodes early on where the contestants realized, it's legal to go ahead and just do whatever you want.
They're not going to call it. Let's do it.
Yeah, you can do whatever you want to your opponents. There's no repercussions.
So they pressed, and North Carolina wilted a little bit under that, and they were down to like 5 players at that point. So that's going to happen.
I lost a big bet. You could probably guess what it was on that game.
The under?
Baylor money line in overtime.
Baylor minus 195 overtime. I thought Baylor would win that overtime. I said, this is the dumbest line I've ever seen. There is no way Carolina is going to win this game. And then they did.
Yeah.
They hit a big 3 to start overtime that kind of righted the ship.
So Carolina, they've got a ton of size and switchability, and it feels like they're kind of turning into what I thought they were going to be at the beginning of the season, which was like probably not a national championship team, but it's a lot better than what we saw most of this season where we're like, ooh, is Carolina even going to make the tournament? I think that we've seen them develop. They've gotten a lot better defensively in recent weeks, and I'm just not into UCLA. I've said it all season long. I've had to eat some crow on it. They're better than I thought they were, but I thought last year was a lucky run. I still think they're kind of getting by on that. I think they're expensive because of that.
Well, they're good when they play USC because all these West Coast teams are garbage. By the way, A+ Mackenzie for getting that. I just raised your power rating 5 points.
Nice. Thank you, man.
But UCLA's draw so far, Akron and St. Mary's, 2 teams that just could not match up with them physically from a physically standpoint.
Akron did just fine, though.
They did. Yeah, they did. But they couldn't. From a physical standpoint, UCLA was able to just kind of bully those teams. You're not bullying this North Carolina team. These are a bunch of grown-ass men. And UCLA, by Pac-12 standards, really good rebounding team. I got news for you. there's not going to be a lot of second chances against this North Carolina team. They are elite on the boards, as per usual.
Feel the heel, Bruins. Feel it.
North Carolina, 40-plus rebounds in 5 of their last 7 games. So you take away those second chance points, good luck. And you mentioned, the guys for Juzang, Jaquez. Juzang, they're going to throw Leaky Black at him, which Leaky Black is a guy who's on the floor for literally one thing only, and that's to defend your best guy. And he's almost a 0 on offense. They don't care. They say,
we already got that.
You go stop him, we'll do the rest. This North Carolina team, I would argue, looking up and down at these teams, if you said every team is playing their best possible ball, like the peak of their abilities, I would say Gonzaga, Arizona, North Carolina. Like that's where their talent ranks. We haven't seen it all season long, but I think that's what they're capable of, and it looks like they're really close to that right now. And here's the other thing: UCLA not going to beat you from 3. That's where North Carolina could be in trouble, because if teams are shooting the lights out, okay, that's a struggle for them. This UCLA team doesn't shoot a lot of threes. They were the worst three-point shooting team in the Pac-12. It's just not in their DNA. North Carolina plus 2.5 going to be my best bet.
Excellent.